Good afternoon, and you're very welcome. It is Thursday, the 26th of September, 2024 at 1 p.m. Unless, of course, you are watching this on playback. And of course, we'd love to see you during the live show as well, whenever you can. I'm absolutely delighted today. My guest is Cllr Francis Timmons from South Dublin County Council and primarily the Clondalkin. He'll give us the full rundown. It's Clondalkin, Rathcoole, Breighton, Sagart, I think, but I'm sure Francis will bring us up to date with that. He has quite a remarkable tale to tell. I will mention to people that some of what we may discuss today could have a trigger warning for you. So please, if you're of a sensitive disposition, please be careful before listening. But we'll come back to that as we approach it. So in the meantime, sit back, relax for the next half hour, grab a cup of coffee and join us for a late bite lunch. Well, Francis, I'm absolutely delighted to have you with us today. I know we've spoken for quite some time about getting you on, and I mean, I personally don't know how you find enough hours in the day, but you certainly do, and I'm delighted we managed to squeeze in a half an hour. I know you were saying that you're going to have to jump on from the council buildings today because you've so much going on. So delighted to have you with us. So maybe for people who haven't encountered you and your story, maybe just give us a little bit about your own background.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me on, Rory. My name is Francis Timmons. I'm a councillor in South Dublin. I've just been elected for the third term. Since 2014, I've represented Clondalkin, Rathcoole, Newcastle, Sagart and Bridges. I suppose my story going back, and we might discuss a little bit about today, is I was born in 1971 and I was born to a single mother at the time, which in Ireland wasn't the accepted standards, I suppose, for want of a better word at the time. And I was put into one of the institutions where I spent a number of years. And while I was there, I was used in vaccine trials, which we might talk about again. My main thing is community. I love Clondalkin. I grew up around here. I spent my life here. I've made my home here. And I've also then got a tale to tell in terms of being a member of the LGBT community and very strong on equality and social justice. They're my main reasons for going into politics, and the main reason that I suppose I get up in the morning and I do what I do.
Right. That's like, again, I think we first met not long before you ran for the first time. And I mean, I still am of the opinion, I have the height of admiration for anybody who is willing to put themselves out there for public office, because in many ways it is a thankless job. In many ways, you come in for a huge amount of unwarranted abuse. People can come along and can have totally unrealistic expectations of what is and is not within your power to do. But yet, still, people like yourself are willing to do that. And I mean, like, I know that when I first met you, you actually, on a regular basis, used to arrange to meet people when you were never actually in public office, in a coffee shop in Clondalkin, so that you could assist them, whether it was advice on how to fill in forms or how to apply for different things. And that you were always there. And so long before you were ever actually a public representative, you are very much a public representative, just not without the title.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved going back to when I was a child. I set up a youth club when I was 15 in Clondalkin, and so I have a long history of community involvement.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everything revolves around community. It's where we live, it's where we grow up, it's where we have our ups and downs, and community supports are so important. But yeah, like I'm probably doing what I always did, but I'm doing it with the title councillor in front of it. And the title councillor at the end of the day gives you access to the directors and to the county manager and people that you wouldn't have access to. But a lot of the work that I'm doing, I did it before I was a councillor. That's how I was probably known, and that's probably how I got elected in 2014. And like I said, been lucky enough and very honoured to be elected now my third term. But it is like we do get a lot of flack, I suppose, and I do admire even people, I've said it publicly before, people that I don't necessarily agree with their policies. I admire everybody that puts their name forward on a ballot paper. It's a big, you're putting your name forward to be publicly scrutinized and held to account, which is fairness. That's what we're there as public representatives. And in the past, a lot of people have let down people, so I understand why there's so much scrutiny. But some of the other stuff now in terms of online social media comments and different stuff like that, I tend not to get a lot of that, Rory, I'll be quite honest with you. I don't know why, but I don't. Even during the campaign, I knew other councillors got and people that were running got fair level of abuse. I think because I tend to listen to people, so even when they're talking about stuff that I necessarily would have a very different opinion on, I can listen and I can talk and I can say, look, we're not going to agree on this. But I think that's what we are as humans. We are obviously going to have differences, but we need to find common ground where we can all live together and share the island the best we can. And that's not shared through dividing communities. It's shared through building community.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And when you first decided to make the decision to run, how difficult a decision was that, given the fact that you are from the LGBTQ community, which I'm sure you knew was going to bring extra flack to you? Did you have concerns at that stage? Because I mean, again, in 2014, there was still a minority out there who would have great difficulty with the community.
Yeah, I suppose, Rory, to be honest with you, I'm very accepted, and I'm an openly gay man in Clondalkin. I live here now with my husband, and we married, obviously after marriage equality, but we're 25 years together, so we're a long time. And because I was known in Clondalkin, yeah, it has brought its issues, but I'm very proud of who I am.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to accept who I was, so definitely wouldn't want to go back where I was, 30 years ago, which was a dark place. But now I'm very happy who I am, what I am, and I say to people, particularly young people, be who you are. Accept who you are, live the life that you're meant to live. And I know it's still very difficult for a lot of people to be openly LGBT in Ireland, even though we have marriage equality and we have a lot of other laws with the Gender Recognition Act. We've stuff that's very progressive, and we should be proud of that. But it's still very difficult for a significant amount of people to be openly members of the LGBT community in Ireland, and there are challenges in that. But when I decided to run, I decided to. I'll tell the story as it was, very quickly, if I may. I ran with the idea, and it's going to sound mad, but I'm on public record as saying this. I didn't suspect that I was going to get elected. So the first time I ran, I had a series of issues which involved, I'm very involved with people with disability, and I'm very involved with mental health, and I've had my own mental health struggles over the years. So I thought I'll run, I'll highlight a few issues, and then I can go back and live my life. And then I got elected, so which I'm very honoured, I'm very proud to have done. So when I did get elected, it was then you're in it. Then you can't just sit on the sidelines giving out. You really have to get involved. And the change that I'd spoken about, then I had to try and bring about that change. And yeah, it's not without its challenges the last 10 years. Being a councillor is a difficult role. It's very unlike any other role I've had, and I've had a lot of different jobs over the years and different life experiences. This is very different as any role is, but the wheels move very slowly at
Yes.
local government level, and trying to get very simple things to me or you, and people get frustrated. They want, the general public want the tree outside the house cut. They want the footpath fixed. They want the potholes. So they're not always, for bigger issues. They're more concerned locally about local issues, and that doesn't mean so. I would have been like, I'm very passionate about Palestine. I'm very passionate about social justice issues. So I do use the council to highlight a lot of those issues, even though I mightn't have a huge amount of say in them. I use the council meetings to highlight those issues because I think they're important. And I think the people I represent, the majority of people, and I still say it even today with some of the more recent hate and stuff that has been spread around, I think the majority of Irish people are very decent and very kind and very considerate. And even growing up, I experienced that in a lot of people that I met over the years. And we shouldn't lose that because it's unique to Ireland that we're really a generous, kind-natured people, and we should hold on to those values that we've always had.
Most definitely. And you talk about the hate there. I know you have been very, very outspoken in terms of the hate legislation that was to be, that now looks like it's not going to be, and that it's not going to be, not even in a watered down version does it look now like it's going to be.
Well, Rory, I think it's very important to say I'm all for free speech, and I absolutely think we should debate things, we should discuss things, but free speech is not hate speech.
Correct.
And free speech is not where you make somebody feel less because of their sexuality or because of where they come from or because if they're a member of an ethnic minority. We cannot allow a system in any democratic country that some people are left behind and some people are not part of society. I know growing up as a gay man in Ireland, pre-decriminalisation, how difficult it was in Ireland. And the difference that decriminalisation made to me and many, many thousands of people. So really, hate legislation is really important. And if there was issues with the legislation they were bringing up, they can amend it. That's why we elect TDs. That's
Yes.
why the people up in Dáil Éireann, we trust these people to do the right thing, and they have to do the right thing for everybody. It's not just bow to pressure from certain elements. We must protect the most vulnerable people in society, people with disability, minority groupings. So everybody, it's not just, but hate legislation would protect everybody, but it shouldn't block free speech. But as I keep saying, and I've said it publicly for years, that free speech is not hate speech. We don't get to go around and, make fun of somebody because they're from some country or because of their sexuality or whatever the issue is.
I mean, I thought that following the introduction of Coco's Law, that we were finally actually making progress in this. Now, I know Coco's Law is more so to do with online bullying, but there was also an element of hate speech in that.
Absolutely. And I know Jackie Fox quite well. She lived in Clondalkin, and her daughter, Coco, who tragically died, an absolute criminal behaviour, really. And Jackie, who I admire greatly, campaigned and brought in legislation and managed to, which was a really big struggle for anybody to take on. So you have to admire that. And it does deal with some of the online stuff, but we have got extremes where there's still people that don't feel safe to walk out of their homes.
Yeah.
And that's not acceptable in a republic. We are a fairly well-off country, in a lot of ways, when you look at other countries. And it's not acceptable that somebody can't freely live their life. And particularly, and again, I've been very verbal about it, the relentless attack on members of the trans community is totally unacceptable in Ireland as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I remember, as I said, I remember what it was like to be gay in Ireland growing up, and it wasn't a nice place. And I wouldn't want that for my nieces and nephews, or I wouldn't want to for my friends, you know, and we all know people, members of the LGBT community. Again, I certainly wouldn't want to go back to a situation where people either got married or entered religious life, and not by choice. They had to do it. But you know, hate speech is about everybody being free to live their life without harassment, without. So yes, there was some issues with the legislation they were proposing, and I've said that before. It needed a bit of tighten up, but that could have been amended. I think to scrap it is totally misinformed and misjudged, and I think it's regrettable that they've done that.
Well, hopefully in the lifetime of the next Dáil, we might just see some sort of direction on that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to move on to quite a sensitive subject now, and I know because of various legal reasons, you are going to be very limited what you can and can't say on this. But during your time in the mother and baby home, you were subjected to various medical trials.
Yeah. So while I was there, like basically the state at the time decided, between the state and the church, they decided that myself and a lot of other people would be better off in the care of the state. So I was put into Madonna House in Blackrock, and I went in there in 1971, and then in 1973 I was used in 2 vaccine trials. Now, obviously, the issue around consent, because my mother didn't give consent, permission for the trials to be carried out. So a lot of things passed in the years, Rory, and I've been involved, obviously, as a counsellor, and before that, with a lot of survivors from different institutions, from the Magdalen Laundries, from the industrial schools, and some of the finest people I've ever met. You know, possibly wouldn't have met these people if I had never been in one of the institutions myself, but I'm very glad to have met, because a lot of them are very real people. They've been through quite horrendous stuff, and they're really decent. They understand a lot about life, I suppose, because they've been through so much trauma. But anyway, I've decided to take a court case, and it's going through the High Court at the minute, where I brought a case against the religious order, the state, which is the Attorney General, and the pharmaceutical company. And I believe that the vaccine trials represents one of the biggest cover-ups of child abuse in the country that we've gone through many horrendous stuff in Ireland. And I don't think it's sufficient for the Taoiseach of the day to stand up in the Dáil. An apology is meaningless unless there's action. And so really what it's about getting the truth. And that's really what it is. Truth and justice at the end of the day is what matters. It's not about money. It's not about, redress as such. It's about getting the truth and getting the facts. And, you know, I think myself and a lot of other people are due that at this stage. So, it's a landmark case. It's the first case that's been taken in this form. There's been many other cases taken, but this is the first case of this specific nature. And it's around consent, and it involves around a breach of human rights. And that's the case at the minute. So it's with the courts at the minute, and we'll see where it goes.
Right. Well, I do have a question in relation to this now. Monica saying, you said you used to have mental health issues. What was the turning point for you? Was it when you came out? Was it when you became a public representative? Or is it something you're still contending with to this day?
I know, I'll be very honest. I've spoken about it loads of times, Rory. Some days are easier than others, and that's the reality. I'm lucky. I don't need medication for it. I do struggle at times. I've said it publicly loads of times. I'm in a good place at the minute. I'm quite happy. I'm having a good period, but it doesn't mean that some mornings it's struggle to get out of bed. And when I say that, I don't mean I think there's so many people in Ireland that struggle, and we all struggle. 1 in 4 people struggle with mental health issues, and we should talk about it more. We should be more open about it, particularly men. I know everybody suffers from mental health, but men are particularly probably poorer about talking about these issues. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm in a good place. I find, trauma doesn't leave you. You learn how to cope with it. You learn how to live with it.
Well, on that basis, then, is there a secret to how you overcome the victim mindset and become a survivor mindset? Is there a defining moment for you when you stopped being a victim and became a survivor, or did you always see yourself as you just had to survive this?
No, I think, to be honest with you, Rory, I think I've been surviving since I was a baby because I had to. And then I went to foster care where I wasn't treated very well. So really my life began when I turned 18 and I left that place I was living. And my life began then, and I found a life and I built a life for myself. And I did my degree and, became a public representative years later. But like I said, if you said to me 30 years ago that I was going to be in politics and I was going to be a Cllr Timmons, I'd have kind of laughed at you. I would have thought, you must be mad. I mean, I was, as a lot of people do, I turned, which again, I've said publicly loads of times, I drank a lot from the age of 20 to 30. I just wanted to blur out things, to be honest with you. So as soon as I left, that was my way of dealing with things and coping. And then I met my partner, who I'm with now 25 years. And, it's not perfect. And I'm sure I don't know how he puts up with me half the time, because I can be, because you've suffered trauma and you've suffered a loss, a lot of loss. It's very difficult to get over that, but it doesn't mean that you can't live. It's part of my life. It doesn't define my whole life. It's not me being a survivor. It's just a part of my life, and it's a part, obviously, that I will never forget. It's in me. Some days, like I said, are harder than others, but I'm very lucky because I have a great set of friends. I've my brothers. I have incredible people around me. So I'm really lucky in a lot of ways. A lot of people don't have that. And I was also, I must mention, I was very lucky that I had a relationship with my mother. Fractured as it was and difficult as it was, because we didn't obviously grow up together and live together. But yeah, I was with her when she died, and she died just before I was elected in 2014. So I'm very lucky when I meet other survivors that have none of that. They don't have memories, they don't have pictures. And that's what people want. They want a sense of identity. And that goes back to the point I was making about truth and justice. Real justice is about being honest up front, telling people, everybody, the most important document you have in your life is your passport, because it's your ID. It's who you are. And those things are important. They're important.
Like helping people find that identity for themselves.
Absolutely. And it's the same in everything in life. Yeah.
Well, time is really running on, so I just need to very quickly do this. Yes, indeed. We are 1 month away from the finals of this year's Micro Business Awards. The finals will be held in Knightsbrook Hotel in Trim on the 26th of October. Fabulous, fabulous night planned. Tickets are still available. I believe I was told this morning we have 8 tickets left. So anyone that's looking for them, just drop us an email, microbusinessawards@gmail.com, with the subject tickets. Let us know how many you want, and we can certainly arrange those for you. I have been asked to announce who the finalists in the People's Choice category are. We've had a number of emails asking us so that people know. So this year's finalists are Divine Gallery of Crafts, who were actually last year's winners. They're in there. And I should say, by the way, these finalists are listed in no particular order. Away with Nature, Downland Crafts, The Biscuit Tin with Tara Boo, and Nat's Aroma Bay. So congratulations to the 5 of you. You're all finalists in the People's Choice category. And as I said, the winner will be announced at the finals on October 26th in Knightsbrook, where there'll be pre-dinner drinks, working. There will be a lovely, sumptuous meal that Knightsbrook have arranged for us. We'll then have the awards presentation. We will have the Lord Mayor joining us as well. We'll have at the awards presentation. We'll have more networking and relaxing into the evening. And I can also confirm that the details of the 2025 awards are now complete at long last. And at the finals, we will be announcing those details with a really special offer on tickets to celebrate our 10th year. So hopefully you'll be able to join us, and we look forward to seeing you there. So, Francis, one question that every guest that comes on our show is asked is, for you, what's your perfect light bite lunch? So what do you like to grab quickly for a bite at lunchtime?
Well, I probably like a wrap. I find them, normally a chicken cheese wrap. That's my favorite, and yeah, that's what I try and grab, because normally with meetings and stuff, you're running around, so it's very kind of quick food, and sometimes I have to try and be careful because I suffer from weight issues, so I have to kind of try and be as healthy as possible going around. So don't always do that. Sometimes I go for the fry up if I have time, but I try and be as healthy as possible.
Yeah, no, well, again, I mean, I know I've, as someone who also has struggled with weight over the years and have finally started making progress, I know I've been following your journey, and exactly as you've said on many occasions, you make the best decisions you can when you can. And while it may not be the most healthy thing, it was the best option available to you at the time, and it's more important to make sure you stay sustained.
Yeah.
I need to ask you, you work with so many different groups, and you volunteer with so many groups. How do yourself and your husband find downtime?
I like to be busy, Rory. I often say space inside my head is not good at times. So I like to be busy. That's my way of coping. I get involved in a lot of stuff. Darren and myself too, we were just back from Latvia. We were in Riga for a week. So that's the first holiday we've had in a while, and we really enjoyed, spending time together. We're very busy, but I'm extremely busy. So it was lovely just to be away in a different country and see something different. We go for lunch. We tend to go out a lot at the weekends for lunch when we can grab a chance. And Darren works from home, so some days, so we tend to try and go down for a bit of lunch. So there are down times and such, but to be honest, like he's a massive support. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do, I wouldn't be able to do because I don't drive. In terms of getting the parade and the festival and other stuff that we're involved in, he's hugely supportive of that stuff, and he's a great organizer as well. So I don't know if it's by choice or he just does it because I say I'm involved and he helps me out. But we work well together. So
you have a great partnership there. I'm just concerned now the time is running away on us. I need to ask you, what's next? And I'm going to put you on the spot here. Given the fact that you topped the poll in the recent local elections, are we going to see your name on the ballot in the Dublin West in the general election? And by the way, I will actually put my neck on the line. I am still predicting the 15th of November for the election date. Others are telling me I'm way off, but my theory behind that, and I'll explain to you very quickly, to have an election in February or March will mean announcing it in January. And most government politicians do not want to go out when everyone is having the January blues.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. I think we will have an election in November, and I wouldn't be surprised if you have the date right. So, yeah, look, I think it'll be fair to say that an announcement will be coming soon.
Well, I think
we'll watch the space.
A very political answer indeed. And so you'll be well, I mean, if you can achieve nationally half of what you've managed to achieve locally, I can honestly say I think the country would be in a much better place and in a much better standing overall. We have run out of time. The details of your website is scrolling across the bottom of the website there, or across the bottom of the page. And I'm sure you're on all the social medias as well, and you're very easily found if anyone wants to reach out to you at any stage. I really do want to thank you so much for taking the time today, and appreciate your support as always. And if ever we can do anything to highlight an issue, don't hesitate to give us a shout, and we'd be more than happy to bring you on again.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me on today, Rory.
Right. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time with another guest, another issue, and look forward to chatting with you then. Have a very good afternoon.